Hello everyone, welcome back to the IoT Hobbyist channel. I'm back with another exciting video, although this time it's not about IoT. In this video, we're going to walk through the tear down and repair of a power seat recliner. We first noticed this issue after my wife reclined the passenger seat to rest a little bit. When she tried to move the seat to its normal vertical position, it would move. However, it would still recline back further. The indication was that the motor was working fine, but there was some issue with the switch. This is for a 2012 Kia Sorento. However, it may apply to models from 2011 and beyond 2012, also known as second generation. So the first step is to remove the knobs on the side of the passenger seat. They can be removed by hand, pulling them out, or by using a small flat screwdriver. Just pull them out away from the seat towards the door. And this is what's going to look like after the knobs have been removed. Now it's time to remove the side cover from the passenger seat. So what you do is you start prying away the cover from the rear side of the passenger seat using a flat screwdriver. Once it's pretty much loose, you need to slide the cover forward to clear the small metal tab in front of the passenger seat. Now that the side cover is loose, you have to disconnect the PCB that's inside the cover from the connector coming from the passenger seat. So that's the connector right here. So you have to press down the lock tab right here and pull the white connector away towards the door. So this is a picture of the cover fully removed from the back from the passenger seat. And here you see on the inside of the cover this small black box with the white connector that I mentioned before. So you have to remove this black box from the side cover, basically using a small flat screwdriver around the block and pushing the plastic tabs away and pulling out the block. So basically the block, here's a picture where the block is being removed from the side cover. So here is the small black box that we just removed from the side cover. Here's another view of it. So what you have to do is to remove this cover by working a small flat screwdriver around the edges here to remove the cover. This is a picture with the PCB exposed, and here's the cover already removed. So basically, this is the PCB itself. These two components here are the ones responsible for controlling the power reclining. The other two to the right control the seat moving forward and backwards. I believe that in earlier designs, the relay didn't exist, and they used the switch, which is actually two switches, A and B, to control the inductive load of the motor. And that probably caused too many early failures, and they eventually decided to use a relay to turn on and off the motor. So using an ohm meter, I was able to trace the connections on the PCB. So you basically have here the switch B and switch A. Switch B tilts the seat backwards counterclockwise, and switch A tilts the seat forward. Now notice here that although the two switches are mechanically connected, sliding the switch to the right, for instance, doesn't change the position of switch B. The same way, if you slide the switch to the left, does not change the uh, position of switch A, sorry. In any case, as the name suggests, this K1 relay, it's basically a dual changeover relay. And the switch basically, each switch turns the relay on and off. And so, for instance, when the switch is slid to the left, switch B is going to turn the relay on here, and it's going to put the positive on the motor. And the same way here on switch A, except that it will put positive on the other side of the motor, turning it clockwise. So these are connectors or connections to the connector on the board. And here you have a depiction of the switches and the relay with the corresponding pinouts. Now, I have not traced the portion of the PCB that controls the seat going back and forward, but I believe it's very similar, if it not identical. Now, we know that the passenger seat tilts backwards, but not forward. So that is indication that the motor works well since it's able to turn counterclockwise but not clockwise. Now the direction the motor turns is dictated by the relay, and the relay is driven by the switch. So one of the two are not working properly. Now, since the only load to the switch is the relay, and it's a very small load compared to the motor, it's very unlikely that the problem is with the switch. However, the switch is the easiest one to check. So let's start there. So here we have a picture of the switch disassembled, and here's the little cover, and you see the little tabs here. So you just use a small flat screwdriver to remove that. And these are the contacts that go on top of the switch, and the little balls that allow the switch to flip, back and forth. And here the top of the switch. So what I'd suggest in your case, once you disassemble the switch, check the contacts, use some kind of cleaner, and make sure everything is good. And put the switch back together, and you can check the contacts using an ohmmeter, using the schematics as a reference. In my case, unfortunately, the switch checked out okay, which meant the problem was the relay. So in order to remove the relay, I used a soldering iron and a desoldering pump. So you have to be very careful when desoldering the relay so not to damage the PCB. Now the relay that came on the board is this part number here, and it's a black relay, and I ordered it on eBay. It took me almost a month to get the relay. When I received the relay, I noticed that it was not what I had ordered. I received a white relay, and this is the part number. Now, I looked up compared the two relays on the data sheets, and essentially they're the same thing except that the white one is not sealed, and sealed version of the relay. But since this is going to be inside the car, and it took me so long to get it, I decided to keep it. So here is the relay, the new relay soldered back onto the board. So again, make sure not to damage the PCB with too much heat. Now, if you don't want to wait for the relay to arrive, say for instance, like it was my case, the passenger seat was tilted almost all the way back, and I wanted to be able to use the passenger seat. So what I did after I remove the relay. For instance, if you wanted to tilt the seat backwards, basically you can short the PCB contacts corresponding to the K1 pins. For instance, if you short pin 14 to 15 and 24 to 23 at the same time, that's gonna make the motor turn counterclockwise, tilting the seat backwards. Now make sure that you do that while the relay is removed. Before you put everything back together, I suggest you take the PCB and connect it to the connector on the side of the passenger seat and just play with the switch to make sure everything works fine. In my case, that's what I did and everything checked out okay. So I put everything back together, basically follow the disassembly steps in reverse. And you see here the box uh, mounted to the side cover, and then everything put together on the side of the passenger seat with the knobs on, and your power recliner should work just fine. Well, that's a wrap. Hope you have enjoyed the video and learned a few things. If you're interested, I've added links to some of the tools I use to perform this repair in the description section. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe button. See you next time.